Welcome back to Bad Company Podcast on American Arms Channel. My name's Drake and I'm your host. Today we've got a very special guest. We have Cole Regal from Regal Metalworks. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, guys. This is a bit of canned content and not a live show, but as always, I try and provide the most detail possible, even if it puts you to sleep. Without further ado, here we go. This video is brought to you by Regal Metalworks, custom quality fabrication. Find them online at www.regalmetalworks.com. Welcome back to American Arms Channel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Drake. Today I have a very special guest with me. You've seen their products featured before. We have Cole Regal of Regal Metalworks of New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. Cole, thank you for joining me today.
You're very welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Now, particularly if you're not in the know, you probably know by the titles you've seen on the videos featuring their products, but they make a very nice American-made product for this firearm right here, the Benelli M4/M1014, the king of combat shotguns. Now, I'm just going to hold up one of these fine beauties right here. This is the current production 5-position, which is a very special item, and Cole, we'll let you rattle on about that to your heart's content here in a minute. But guys, being able to have a 5 or a 6 position tube on your Benelli M1014 is just awesome, flat out, regardless of its of anything else about the product. It's just cool to have a couple extra positions over your standard Benelli OEM, which is one of many reasons to upgrade your M4 or M1014 to the Regal Metalworks Recoil tube. But to start off, I guess we should find out who Regal Metalworks is. So, Cole, what do you do at Regal Metalworks?
All right. I'm Cole Regal. I'm the proprietor and the owner of Regal Metalworks. I started the business full-time in 2018, started the business part-time in 2013, doing mostly fabrication work, welding and whatnot. We did a lot of high-end welding with stainless steels, titaniums, things like that. And we just kind of moved on and got into machining. And now we're getting into the machining market. And we finally got into firearms. We do a lot of custom products that we make, but we like to design things. Me personally, I like to design tools and make tools that are very useful. And I like making high quality tools that they're just not available in the market. So we got into the firearms just recently because there was a void and a part that was needed for the Benelli shotgun that just was not available. And one guy that works with me, Nate, he owned a 1014, and he brought to my attention and said, "Hey, we got a machine, we can make this. Do you think I could try and make one of these? I'll design it." And I said, "Sure. Let's see what we can do." He wanted a 3-position. They were just not available, and the prices that they were selling them on eBay was astronomical. So I said, "Sure, why not? Let's try and design one. Draw one up in CAD." He's pretty proficient in CAD. He came to me from high school and interned with me for 2 years before he graduated. So he had a good basis in the CAD program, which was the exact same CAD program that I run in my business, which is Autodesk's Fusion 360. So it was no problem for him to design it out. It took a while for him to figure how to actually design that piece because we didn't have a working piece. And as you all know, the stock piece is fixed. There is no adjustability on it. So there's nothing to really look at and say, "Oh, this is how this works." You could basically take it off, but you can't adjust it other than that. So that's where that all started, and that we started that probably in the summer. And there was a bunch of research and design that went into that, materials and whatnot. We can get to that a little bit later. But our business, we mostly do. We started out doing repair work for the local communities, whether it was weld repair or just, "Hey, this part, I can't get it anymore. This tool was made 50 years ago. It's out of production." And we were able to reproduce that part with the limited tools that we had on hand and CAD programming. So we were able to design things and machine things. So we really enjoy being able to make American products here in America and not outsource them, excuse me. So a lot of people can design and draw things, but they have no idea on how to actually make the product, right? They don't know how to integrate that design into a hard part in their hand, other than the advent of the 3D printer, which is great. It's wonderful for people, but 3D printing just isn't quite there for making a part that's usable. It is in certain applications, but it's very expensive for the machine to do, like metal 3D printing. But so we try and do as much as we can in-house. So we start with raw material, we do the design in-house, we machine the product in-house, we then finish the product in-house. We don't outsource it. There is a couple products that we do have to outsource, and on the finishing, and that's some plating that I get done on some of the tooling that I make, just because I prefer to do that over any type of other finishing, which I do powder coating in-house, but it's not good enough for the product that I'm making. So we outsource plating, and just that experience with getting things nickel plated, it's a wonderful finish, but then you have to wait on a plater to get to your product, and they want a minimum. They want hundreds of them to give you a price. Or if you send them like 30 of something, they charge you the same price if you send them 300. And that really cuts into your bottom line. So we figured, hey, if we can keep everything in-house from production to finishing, we're way ahead of the bell curve. Because if we need to make a change in the product down the line, like we run into an issue or a problem or something where we want to change it because we see how we can improve it, we don't have 1,500 parts sitting on the shelf that we paid to be finished. We can finish them in-house and only make 30 that we may need. So when we need to make a change, it's easy and quick for us to implement, because, hey, I don't have to send out 1,500 parts to be finished. So keeping it in-house for us, it means immediate changes to a problem, or hey, an improvement. We want to come out with a new revision of something. We can implement that quickly. And if a customer feeds back and says, hey, this doesn't work in my application because it's not working as intended for the tool or the job that I'm using the tool for, we can say, okay, no problem. We can make a quick modification for you on that to suit your needs, get it made, get it finished out the door, and as quick as a few days to as early as or as late as 2 weeks. Where if you're relying on another company, it could be 6 months longer. It's and cost you astronomical numbers and finishing costs. So
that's fantastic, Cole. Absolutely love the idea of keeping it all in house, let alone keeping it here in the States. It's just it makes me really happy to hear just another American small business really striving into different markets and trying to keep it here. And you hear so many times, oh, we started in a small shop and now we have this nationally recognized brand. But on the bottom of that nationally recognized brand is stamped made in, and USA are not the letters following it. So I think that's really key here. I think most guys are expecting that with firearms components, but would be surprised how many that former where it's made sticker really applies to. And on that note, so back to the 1014, what inspired you to step into the firearms market, and specifically with that? I know you mentioned that your employee Nate had a 1014 and saw the niche. Was there anything outside of that, or was it just kind of oh, here's something we might be able to get into, and then it just started snowballing from there?
Well, we had just purchased our first CNC lathe, and we went with an American manufacturer. And the whole idea of purchasing that machine was to be able to manufacture some more of the tooling that I make for welding. And there's products that I wanted to bring out, and I needed a CNC lathe to really make that. So you can't make this tube on anything else. There's just no other way to make it other than a CNC lathe. And, we had it sitting there. We got it in March of 2021. brand new from Haas out in California, made to our specs. It cost us a ton of money. It was very intimidating getting this brand new expensive machine and then having to spend a ton of money on tooling and learning how to run this machine. So when Nate came to me and said, "Hey, I think I want to try and make this," we're like, "All right, we could give that a go." We're still filling out, learning the machine. We had it 6 months. We've made a few parts on it. We've done some work for like our local city's SWAT team. Brought us some flashbang grenades and wanted them modified for their application as a gift, non-functional after they've been used. And, we machined them on the CNC lathe and they were extremely ecstatic with it. So we're like, I'm not against firearms getting into that market, but we always felt like, hey, if there's a field you get into that the government can come in and say, hey, nope, you can't make that anymore, that would be really detrimental to your business. So I was always kind of leery about getting into it. But Nate, said, hey, let me try and run with this and see what we could do. And, he did, and he figured it out. And, I was extremely ecstatic that he was able to design that based off of a non-functioning collapsible tube. He figured out how the mechanism was working. He designed it out, and then that's when we made the first 3 position. We just tried to mimic what, Benelli was making. And we had listed a couple on eBay because he had tested them. He was like, oh, let's just see how they sell. And we put 2 up and they sold, in the first 2 hours. I think you were probably one of the first or second person to buy one. And so we were like, wow, these, people may really want this. This is great. Maybe we should look into making some more, we had went through the process of figuring out, what we needed to do material wise. There's all these different renditions because it's a European manufactured firearm in Italy. So they use metric stock, and that metric stock is not readily available in America. So anything you're designing means you're going to have to machine it to that spec. So finding an American manufactured material that meets that criteria that you could be able to machine down and nail those numbers without having to machine it out of a solid bar, which would be extremely cost prohibitive, was extremely lucky for us that we were able to figure it out. Everything was going against us for that. And that's probably why there's not a lot of American manufacturers even trying to attempt to make these things. So it was a challenge. Maybe we were naive enough to think that we could do it, and it worked out for us. We went through probably 20 different renditions before we got one that worked. And then we were like, okay, we need to harden this because of the way that the recoil tube actually works. It's the only thing keeping the stock from completely collapsing. So if you're making it move, it's locking that pin into a groove. And that's taken the majority of the blunt force of the recoil. So we tried a regular a DOM steel, and it was flaring out. It was not holding up. We tried stainless steel. It also more difficult to machine and was not able to work. Wasn't holding up. It didn't have the same strength as what we eventually landed on, which was 4130 chromoly steel. Now the chromoly in the annealed state is just as weak as the regular DOM steel, but we were able to figure out a way to harden that areas. We ran into some issues with trying to harden the whole entire piece like you would a knife. It just ended up warping, and we couldn't keep it straight. And it was like, oh man, we got this all figured out, and now we're losing it in the home stretch. Like, it's completely unusable if you cannot work harden it. So, but we just kept at it until we figured out a viable way to work harden that in the areas it needed to be. and it stayed true. And we tested it. We threw hundreds of rounds through it with any round we could find, mostly slugs, 3-inch slugs. We were trying to throw magnum rounds through it to see if it was going to hold up. You know, we were doing strike hits and everything, and we were really impressed at how it was holding up, because just shooting the regular DOM steel or even stainless steel was not holding up at all. So once we had that sorted, I mean, the only thing we really had to do at that point was finishing. So we were able to figure out the finishing, and we're still working on the finishing. We're hand bluing it right now, but we've been doing some beta testing, and we're moving on to parkerizing. We've had some successful tests with parkerizing. It saves us a large amount of time. It's not a lot of handwork compared to, and the finish, although I don't think it is as nice visually, it is a much more durable finish, and it actually has a lot of lubricity to it. So it slides a lot better, and it allows us to also finish the inside of the tube, you know, because you can't really finish the inside of the tube by hand, but because of the process of parkerizing, it actually puts a finish on the inside. We're extremely happy with that. We're hoping to bring that soon, to, you know, no cost to anybody. It'll just be a rendition change. It will still look similar to what we currently have. It matches the color fairly well, and it matches the gun. It's closer to the actual stock finish. So we're pretty excited about being able to do that also in-house. You know, we couldn't find anybody to really outsource that to even test it, so we had to figure out how to actually do that. It's not terribly difficult, but to get a consistent finish, you know, to do one of anything is easy. To do it 100 times is when you got to really know the in and outs, you know, to figure out, hey, this is, you know, I'm not going to have an unexpected thing happen, you know, on the 10th one. And, you know, that also coincides with machining. You know, it's easy to make one. It's hard to make a bunch of something. It's much more difficult. It's a different focus. So that's how we kind of got into the firearm market. And I'm happy that we did. I'm hoping that the government stays out of it. It doesn't change the laws on us. But, you know, hey, we'll just pivot if it does. It's not a problem.
Well, it sounds like you guys put a lot of research and development work into this. I mean, I know it's something as simple as a tube, but it's really not that simple. I mean, as you're describing, you've got heat treating to make sure it can take the sort of use and abuse that it has to on a 12-gauge Magnum shotgun. It's going on a combat shotgun. So the idea being, if it can be put in the hands of a Marine, it probably should be able to survive quite a bit of abuse. And the finishing, you know, you guys just updating and improving the product and it never affecting the bottom line for the customer, just ends up with a better product. I mean, to me, that just speaks to, that's just quality American manufacturing there. And you guys have a lot of integrity as a company. So since you touched on that, can you go into a little bit about your manufacturing process? I mean, obviously there's some proprietary stuff that you won't be able to share, but, you know, let's give the viewers some insight on what it takes to take a piece of stock and turn it into this fantastic piece of tubing here, so we can do this magical number.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Like, so we had to find the right material that worked for us. We had to find the right size, and it had to be commercially available in a manner that we can purchase enough of it to make. Like, we could have we found some metric stock, but it was 3 times the price. It would limit some of our machining. We wouldn't have to do that. But the problem was it was so limited. Like, I couldn't make hundreds of these things. It'd be like, I can make 30 and maybe in 6 months I can make 30 more. That wasn't going to work. We were, you know, we need to figure this out and get it working into the hands, you know, of the people that were wanting this, you know, desire for their 1014. So we settled on that chromoly material. We settled on the size. As you can, anybody that buys one, they'll see it's threaded both on the outside and on the inside on both opposite ends of the tube. So the inside threading is very thin. There's a flat on that wall, and that's how the stock actually goes on. And that's crucial that that is there. So that threading in that flat, it's such a tight tolerance that it took us a while to dial the machine in to get that to work on a consistent basis. And every once in a while, we still have to scrap one because we can see the threads just barely poking through. So what we end up doing is there's three processes. So the tube has to go through our CNC machine 3 separate operations, 3 separate times. The first time basically is doing the outside profile, doing the grooving, doing the flats. Then the second one is internal threading and an internal ring groove. Now we've had some people say like the ring groove, they don't quite see it. It is actually there if you look, but again, there's such a tight tolerance, it almost looks like a thread. But if you rotate that 360 degrees in your hand while you're looking at it, you'll see the thread runs through it, but you can actually see the groove the whole ways around. So groove ring will drop in there, the factory groove ring. And then the final app in the CNC machine is we actually have to flip it around and then machine the outside threads. And then, of course, you do see that internal groove where that holds the spring internal to that recoil tube. And well, it doesn't hold the piston. The piston runs in through that. But we do include that retaining ring. We did find a source that could work with what we had. Yep, and we provide that. It is a 360-degree ring, so it's not a split ring that the factory provides. So it's a little easier to work with, and it works perfect with the groove that we put in, and it just saves you the headache. We wanted to basically not have to. We did not want to have to rely on Benelli to provide the parts. So we found another source that we could work with the way we machine that groove, and it works perfect. We also have one for the outside, for the internal thread, if need be. We're not really providing that because the factory one is easily to reuse. There's no harm in using that. But we would like to actually eventually at some point offer that piston and the spring and the whole entire package together, where you buy the tube, you just thread it in, throw it on, and you're rock and rolling. But we're not quite there yet. There's some things we need to work out on the spring and also on the piston. But that's our goals. That's where we're trying to get. So, but those 3 steps, it takes us some time to do that. It's quite a bit of machining on the first op. It's very slow. Machining a long tube, it's very difficult to hold it and keep it steady and keep it from chattering. And we figured out a way to actually do that we could repeatedly make that. So we're really happy with that. So once that's done, that product then goes to heat treat. We heat treat that in the areas that need to be heat treated. Then from there, we send it to sandblasting. We have a big industrial blaster. We blast them all by hand. We make sure that every area is blasted on that, so it gives us a raw finish. And from that raw finish, we're able to then apply the finish. That is crucial in the bluing, cold bluing. Anybody that's done cold bluing or even hot bluing, if you do not have a properly prepared part, your finish it's got streaks in it, it's got discolors, it's got shiny parts and dull parts. But that blasting that we use actually gives us a finish where we get a nice matte finish on it, and it gets an even appearance across the whole entire finish. But before we actually finish it, after blasting, it goes to laser. So we do that in-house as well. Back in November, we invested into a laser, a fiber laser engraver, so that we can engrave this tube, because I really want to put the made in USA, but made in with the American flag to match the Benelli 1014 on the rifle, so that it could be seen, because it's right there at the end. And when you have that out, you're seeing it. And then I want to also put a rendition of our logo on the back side there, so people would know that, hey, this is the product that, we're making it, we're the ones responsible for that. But I wanted it to be hidden. I didn't want it to be blaring. We're not egotistic. We're not like, hey, look at us. but we wanted to mark our product. And, so if you saw it was a genuine RMW product, it's marked on there. But after we do laser engrave them, and it is engraved, so it does not rub off. It's not just burned into the finish. It's in it before we actually finish. So it's engraved down in it, a few thou. And then we actually currently we're like, I was saying, we hand finish them with bluing. My 91-year-old grandfather actually is responsible for doing all the hand finishing, and he loves doing it. He'll sit there 8 hours a day to finish 8 tubes. He'll sit there and finish them. It's got several coats on him, and it's hand polished, and he's ecstatic about doing it. I know that's not a viable solution long term. That's why we've been looking into the parkerizing, and I'm really ecstatic with the parkerizing, and he can do the parkerizing. It's safe for him to do, and it's less hand work. But
there's love in the bluing, Cole. There's love in that bluing.
Yeah, there is love in that bluing. When you see the bluing, it's the best blue work I've seen for cold blue. Hot blue is fantastic, but it's so caustic and dangerous. I just don't want to get into it.
Right.
Parkerizing's a lot safer. It's still not the as nice as cold bluing, but it saves a huge amount of time. And there's other things that we could do parkerizing. So it kind of made sense to kind of go that route. That's the route we wanted to go. But like I said, anytime we do any type of finishing, because everything we do in-house that we finish, any custom things we make, we always finish in-house, unless it needs to be nickel plated or anodized. We don't do that in-house, but there's no parts that we're providing in the gun market yet that is like that. We like to be able to have our hands-on in that, because the finish, the prep work to that is crucial to the final product. Even in nickel plating or anything like that, anodizing, if you take a part that's just fresh off the machine, and let's say it's aluminum and it goes to anodize, I'm sure plenty of people, viewers have seen anodized aluminum. It's either shiny or it's dull. If it's dull, it means there's been some process that has happened to that material before it's gone to anodize. If it's shiny, it means it's right off the machine, and that's how it comes out. It's shiny, and they put the anodize it, and the dye goes into it, and it still looks shiny. Nothing wrong with that. To me, it kind of looks a little cheap. I'd rather see the raw finish of a machine than to have anodize over top of it. But what we do with any of our aluminum parts is we tumble it. We tumble it in a rock media, and it actually deburrs a lot of that edge and gives you a nice matte finish. And when you get it anodized, like some of our welding tools are anodized like that, it's so nice looking, and it feels so good in your hand. Any of the matte finish, anybody that does Cerakoting knows exactly what I'm talking about, how that finish looks. That's what it looks like when you tumble it and then get it anodized. But like when the steel stuff, we're blasting that. We could tumble that, but it would ruin the threads, and it's too hard to keep threads from getting messed up. And it's very crucial that those threads engage. So we're blasting them in our automated blasting conveyor system. And from there, then we're hand finishing it. But we get a nice even finish on everything. And I'm very happy with the finish that comes out on that product for being able to do that all in-house and all by hand currently. So
that was a fantastic breakdown of the R&D process and everything you've gone through to bring out this product. So can you give us some insight? Because I know some guys are going to be curious, Regal Metalworks kind of putting themselves on the firearms map by producing this product. What kind of quality of customer service can they expect? Who are they going to deal with? If something's not what they expect or what has been advertised for whatever reason, what are you offering to your customer to give them some assurance that they're going to be taken care of?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. We don't have some great little firearms name or, that really indicates that's what we do. It's Regal Metalworks. It's my name. We do everything. We've been doing this for a little bit. We make high-end products. We do, high-end fabrication. We do high-end welding. If somebody needs a custom one-off high-end piece, they know they can come to us. So, getting into the firearms market, I know we're not in the firearms market, or we dipped our toes in it. I mean, we still bring that all along with us. Like, we don't, yeah, every once in a while something might slip through, we miss something or whatnot. But if you find that you get one of our products and you reach out to me, which my telephone number, my personal telephone number is listed on the business, and you can call it directly. You can email me directly. You can reach out on social media, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You're going to talk directly to me. I'll respond directly to you in a timely manner. If you say, "Hey, I got this. Something doesn't look right," or I wasn't sure about this. I'm going to respond to you because it's my product. It's my name on the line, and that's how I respond or how I feel when I spend my hard-earned money on a product, and I feel like I don't get any response from the manufacturer if there's an issue or just a simple question like, "Hey, I'm kind of curious about what this. I don't understand." And we'll help you as quick as we can. We brought this product to market relatively quick in about a quarter, so about 3 months. So we don't have everything lined up with like, oh, we got everything printed out. We have instructions and everything like that. We know we need to do that. We need to revisit that. And, I feel bad with just sending the product and, not like an instruction sheet and this and having a video and pointing you to that, or other products we do. But rest assured, if you have a question, I return phone calls. If you can't get me on the phone, it's usually because I'm under a welding helmet or I'm at a machine running it and I can't answer my phone because it's an expensive part and we don't want to ruin, or we don't want to crash a machine, or I'm actually talking with another customer that walks in. And we do have walk-in customers that come in and say, "Hey, I have an issue, I have a problem, can you help me?" So, but we will get back to you in a timely manner. If you email or call, I have several shops that call me on a regular basis. Hey, I got this part to install. I love it. It looks great. I just have a question. How do I clock it? What do I need to be looking for? We'll walk you through it. We know that we don't have all the information laid out just yet, but we have no problem talking to you. And if you have a legitimate gripe about something, hey, we're going to listen to you. Like you say, "Well, I didn't like the way the website, it was kind of confusing and I didn't know how this," I'll make a change to it. I handle the website. I personally put the product on the website, make the changes, put the wordage on everything, set up how shipping goes and everything like that. It's me and Nate, and we're the ones that ship it. We're the ones that pack it. Besides my 91-year-old grandfather, he might package some in boxes. And he's really good about not forgetting everything. He has a whole process and he speaks out loud. He's like, 1 ring and a tube, and this is a 3 position, and he writes it down, and this is a 5, and this is a 6 because I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and and so he understands all that. And so, but things happen. We get busy. People come in. Something might get missed. But if you call us, we'll take care of you immediately and right away. Not a problem. It's no skin off our back. It represents us and how we want to operate our business. We're not that big, huge, corporation that's just chucking out widgets by the cheapest manufacturer possible and trying to undercut the bottom dollar as much as they can. You're going to talk to me, or you're going to talk to Nate, and we'll get you straightened out and we'll get you taken care of.
I can tell you what, Cole, that's exactly what I look for in a business. I know the firearms market appreciates that. I know anybody appreciates that, especially when you get the hometown feel, even if you're half a country away from New Cumberland, Pennsylvania. I mean, it just feels good that I know I'm going to be talking to the guy who's making the product that I'm looking to purchase or I need help with. So transitioning from that, we know where the 3 position comes from because that's the military standard. It was a 2, then it became a 3 for the M1014, and that's what Benelli sells for law enforcement, and that's the part you get if you're buying the OEM. But where did the 5 come from, and where did the 6 come from, and what were your challenges developing these? Because again, you don't have a technical data package, but they're really off the beaten path now. with adding those 2 or 3 positions.
Correct. So what had happened is once we had put them on eBay, I think somebody on the AR-15 forum posted, "Hey, has anybody seen this product? You know, do you know anything about it?" And we just kind of threw it out there just to kind of get it out. Like I don't scour the forums. I used to back in the mid 2000s for anything that I was interested in, but it's kind of became a kind of a niche thing that, you know, if you're really into it, you'll do. And so I was like, "Hey, Nate, why don't we take a look at the forums and see what's going on?" So he did. And he was like, "Hey, somebody posted something about this." So I was like, "Why don't you post back and say, you know, try and get some feedback from the community. Say, hey, we understand like a lot of people want this 3 position. We hear that Benelli makes a 5 position for the European stock, but you know that's not really applicable in this situation unless you're going to go spend another $5, $6, $7,000 for their version of stock, and apparently nobody likes that design or the way it looks." So he did. He's like, "Hey, can you give us some feedback on this?" And you know, they were like, "Hey, it'd be nice to see something, you know, with a little bit more increments on it." So we're like, "Well, we could do like a 5 position." So I told Nate, I said, "Why don't we do a 5 position and make it evenly spaced from fully extended to fully collapsed?" And it works about every 1.5 inches. You have a segment moved. So we kind of designed that, we made it, and then we like kind of posted on the AR-15 forum, like, "Hey, what do you guys think of this?" And they were like, "Hey, that's great, but you know, I think we need a little bit smaller increments." We could definitely see the need for the 5 position in even increments, but if you can make one that's closer segmented together, your separations are closer together. I feel like that would be, you know, more favorable for certain people because you would have a much smaller increment of collapsing. So we did, and we designed the 6 position. So we have 5 positions that are 1/2 inch apart from fully extended up to about slightly past, I think, where the 3 position past halfway, and then 6 position is the final collapse, so fully collapsed. So you have 5 positions from fully extended every 1/2 inch in. The 5 position recoil tube that we make that's only 5 is evenly 1.5 inch space. So that might be better suited for somebody that has a teenager or a youth that may want to shoot it that really needs to choke up on it, or if somebody's wearing a plate carrier or something like that where they need that further collapsed position. The 6 position is more for, you know, hey, I'm not 6'2", I don't like the full pull, I'm only 5'8". I'd feel better if I was in, you know, 2 inches, you know, where the 5 inch wouldn't quite hit, or 5 position wouldn't hit that, but the 6 position does. So we kind of explain it a little bit on our website. Like I said, we really need to do some videos explaining that difference so that people can understand that. And the diehard people, they get it, they read it, they understand it because they're coming looking for that, and they know that that's what is being provided. But we have had some feedback for some individuals that were like, yeah, I came here because I saw a video, but I had no idea what it really was and what it did. I wish you could explain it better. So, you know, just discussing that, hopefully people can understand why we have a 3 position and why we have a 5 and why we have a 6. The 6 just isn't, oh, it's just one extra position. It's actually the grouping is closer together where the 5 is more evenly spaced.
Fantastic information. Fantastic. So Cole, with the success that you've been seeing with the 1014 M4 recoil tube, do you have any plans on expanding further in the firearms market? You know, from here, is there more Benelli 1014 M4 stuff coming up, or where are you at with that?
Yes. In fact, thanks for asking that. We are very much looking into that. We have some CAD models that we designed for like a charging handle. And I mentioned earlier about doing a piston and a spring so you can get the whole tube all assembled and basically thread it in and go. There's some more things we need to research and develop on the spring, but that's in the works. You know, if you guys keep ordering these things, you know, we'll keep making them. You know, we have no problem with that. But, you know, when we're making a product, that machine can't be used for prototyping. You know, we only have one. We have two machines, CNC mill and a CNC lathe that we're able to make things on. But as we move on, like making more products, we'll reinvest the money into the business and we'll buy more machines. These machines are extremely expensive. I mean, they're no joke. Like it's not like 10,000, 20, 30,000. I mean, you're talking 6+ figures just to make what you're already making. Like if I had to make a volume larger that we're currently able to provide, we have to spend the exact same money to do the exact same thing, while you're only kind of making a little bit more money, because you never know where your sales are going to go. So you have to really plan on growing linearly and not just kind of like going off the charts. And you can make some really bad business decisions and you can put yourself in a financial hole. So we're trying to bring it organically. We're going to design these other things, we're going to bring these products. We listen to what a couple of our customers have said, or we'll listen to anybody that's going to give us any type of feedback, customer or not. But we're trying to appropriate where we're going to go there in the business. And hey, it's been really good for us making these tubes. It's helped us take some of the stress off of, hey, are we going to be able to pay the bills this month? To, all right, we're doing okay, let's reinvest some of this money. Like I said, we bought the fiber laser machine, and those things are not cheap. You can get cheap ones, but it doesn't pay long term. So we invested some money back into that, and it allowed us to bring a better product, right? And not only that, we can use that for everything we do. We can mark all the products that we're making in the future. So it's like a gradual step. Like, we're trying to do it linearly. We're not trying to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to come in swinging hot and go big or go home, because when you do that, there's a couple of businesses I've worked with hand in hand, because we do a lot of business work in the field. We do a lot of repair work. And they had that attitude to go big or go home. And then, COVID hit and it shut them down. When you're paying huge salaries because you got 20 guys working for you and you've got $1 million machines running your stuff, and then all of a sudden everything gets shut down, you have no more income for 2-3 months. I mean, that'll put you under. And this happened to two businesses that we worked with, that they just went out. And we managed to stay alive during COVID when everything was shut down. We still were in there working, but the amount of stuff people needed was really slowed down. Now, we weren't providing gun parts at that time. That never really seemed to slow down during that duration, at least from the guy that I'm friends with that actually does gun parts. He said it was really good for him. But for us, we were able to manage to get through. So we're trying to grow the company linearly, and we'll bring the products as we can get to them, and as we can afford to reinvest that back into more machinery. And, we're not here just to make a quick buck. We're here to bring a great American-made product that is well-designed, well thought out, and listen to what the community says. And we want to bring that to you, and we don't want to go out of business doing it. We're not like, we gotta make $100,000 a month so that we can, pay for all these machines, and then we can, make sure that we got this, and that then, at the end of the day, you have nothing because you really didn't pay attention to what the customer wanted. So
right. So let me throw you a curveball then. So, okay. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but there are actually two companies now that I have seen either talking about or advertising that they are going to have an American-made Benelli M4 M1014 recoil tube. And one of them actually is fairly well-known, Briley Manufacturing out of Texas. I actually enjoy a number of their products, not that they sponsor me at all, but they make good stuff, right? Well, they've got an ultimate M4 package, quote unquote, and they recently released relatively recently, that they were going to actually offer a 5 or a 6 position. So, not to say to light a fire under you, but, were you aware of that? And how do you look at that competition in this realm? How does RMW approach that?
Right. So you have to focus on what you can do. You can't control what anybody else is doing, right? So if you base your business solely on, hey, we're focusing just on this and this is our goals, and if you can't change, you can't control the government telling you, hey, this product's illegal, just like they did back in the 90s when they said no more 15 or 30 magazines for AR-15s. You can't control that, right? So you have to position your business. You have to sell your business on, hey, look, this is what we are able to provide you. And this is how we're able to provide it because we're listening to you, the consumer that's spending their money. We're not saying, hey, we're selling you what we think you need, and you're too dumb to know what you really need. So we're saying, here you go. And that might be applicable in certain situations, but there's plenty of intelligent people out there that know what they want. And they can speak directly to the manufacturer and be like, hey, can you guys maybe do this or change this, or we'd like to see this over here, or maybe do this. This would work better for me. We can ascertain that. We can deliver on that. And so that's what we're working at. We can't worry what somebody else is doing. Is it a concern? Sure. It's always a concern. It's always competition. Somebody can drum you right out of the market. They can come out and say, we're going to sell these for $25 each and we're not going to make any money and we don't care because we just want to crush you. You can't, we can't fight that. Right. Mm-hmm. So all we can do is sell us as a company. And this is what we're trying to do. And we can't worry what anybody else is doing. We have to be able to pivot when you have to pivot. You have to be able to read that curveball and be able to put, position your bat and play off of that. So, running a business, everybody, in America, that's the dream. Run your own business, be rich, wealthy, depict your own schedule and do what you want to do. But, that's the dream, but that's not what reality is. Reality is you got to deal with this guy over here is doing this and bad mouthing you, or this person over here is doing this, or hey, I got to make payroll, or hey, I got to figure out how I'm going to get a machine because we broke this one, or stuff wears out, or it's not holding tolerance, or so you're constantly trying to pivot, and you're constantly trying to stay on your feet. And nobody really saw COVID happening 2020. And there's so many businesses that relied on just the everyday normal thing. Hey, we go out to eat on Fridays or Wednesdays or Tuesdays or whatnot. Now everything's shut down. Restaurants in our area, like I drive around our area, there's so many business offices for rent because nobody's wants to go into offices, and businesses have discovered that, hey, it's way cheaper for us to let our employees work from home. We don't have to pay all that overhead for a building, then their salaries on top of that. So you have to be able to pivot. You can't be so set in stone that this is what we do and we're sticking to that. If we got drummed out of the gun manufacturing, we'll still be in something else. We'll be making something else. We'll be providing, a service to the people that value having a service provided to them. And ultimately, that's why I do this. I do it because I enjoy seeing people going, oh, wow, I'm so glad that I found somebody that listens and wants to make this and wants to do this. That's what I find in the welding industry with the tools that I make for them. Like, there's nobody else making it. And there's nobody else that are making it to the level that you're making it. Like, when I hold this in my hand and I feel how heavy it is, and I feel like you didn't cut corners where you could have cut corners to put more money in your pocket, you're going that extra mile. Like, to me, I'm like, I want to feel, when I grab a tool, I want to feel like it's legit. We've all grabbed those cheap tools that you had to use for whatever, a pair of pliers or, a screwdriver or something. And then when you hold like an American made tool or something that's taken pride in it, and you can feel that that difference, that's why the Benelli platform was so, tempting for us, because it was like, oh, here's a high-end assault 12 gauge that, it's not a Remington 870, which is a great gun, but it's not the same type of quality. I want to make things that are quality that people will appreciate, that they'll hold in their hand and they say, hey, I love having this on there. And we've got quite a bit of feedback from our customers, like, dude, I am absolutely stoked about this product and how it's machined and how it feels. You know, I had one guy send me an email. I was like, I wish you would put your logo right up there by the American flag because I want people to know, you know, and you know, it's very humbling. You're like, well, thanks, but you know, I don't want to promote myself. I just want to promote the great product. And here it is, this little, you know, information's back here on the back end that the person that really cares, they're going to look there, they're going to see it, and they're going to say, that's why I spent the money on
Right. That's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic, Cole. But to praise you and put a feather in your cap, you were the first to the market. And
something.
It's something, right?
All the commentators, first post.
Just first. Yeah. Next time, whenever, maybe that's all you need. You just need to, every company goes, oh, look what we made. Just find them. I'll send you the link. Just go first.
First. That's all I have to do. First.
Hey, yeah. There's nothing like good competition and a good friendly trolling, right?
Sure. I mean, I don't care. I mean, I'm not doing this to get rich, and Lord knows I am not. You know, I'm just happy that I have money to invest back into the company to buy these machines to make these dreams that we come up with. You know, being somebody that always, as a kid, tore things apart to figure out how they work, and always had my dad's crappy tool set that was like in 20 different pieces from all over that you had to try and like put things together and nothing ever worked. I am ecstatic that I have the proper tools to do a proper job. To me, that's like, I'm winning. I'm winning. Yeah.
Well, oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Well, Cole, I really, really appreciate you taking the time this evening to come on here, speak to me, let the fans know, let my viewers know, and anybody who comes across looking for more information on this cool piece of firearms kit here. So let's let you plug. Where can people who are interested in this product and your other products too, for welding and machine and tool, where can they find you? Where can they find out more information?
So you can find us on the World Wide Web, the info web. You can go to our website, regalmetalworks.com, Regal spelled R-E-G-A-L, metalworks.com. And you can see it has a link. I think most of our pictures from Instagram are posted there. But you can go into our shop and you can go and see what we have. We have a lot of tools, welding things that we make. And then the firearms is a very small section that we're slowly going to be expanding here over time. And yeah, you can go check it out there. You can always reach out. You can send an email. You can send a phone call. You can send a text. I mean, I'm easy to get a hold of. I'm not hiding behind, something that you can't get a hold of me. You got to talk to 15 different people before you can get the answer you want. No, you can just call me and I'll get back to you. If I don't answer, then I'll get back to you right away and, answer your questions as best I can. If not, I can get Nate. Hey, Nate, what's happening here? And we'll get you the information you need. And we'll, cater to whatever you need, pretty much.
Awesome. Thank you, Cole. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions for myself, you can find me at AmericanArmsChannel at gmail.com. And of course, you can find Cole at RegalMetalworks.com and find him online at RegalMetalworks.com. As always, guys, God bless. Keep your powder dry. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Cole.